Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another video on the channel. Thank you for all the support on the previous videos. This video is my predictions for Matchday 33 of the Barclays Premier League. Please let me know down below how you got on last week with your predictions. But let's get straight into it for Matchday 33. The 12:30 kickoff, we've got Spurs versus Brighton. Let's have a look at the league table where each team stands at the moment. Spurs are currently sat in 4th place in the top 4 places on 57 points with 31 games played. And Brighton sit in 11th place mid-table on 37 points with 31 games played. We'll go through the previous 6 matches for each team. Tottenham won 5-0 at home to Everton on March the 7th. They then lost 3-2 at Old Trafford. They then beat Brighton 2-0 away in the Premier League on March the 16th, which was one of their games in hand. And then they beat West Ham 3-1 away from home. They then beat Newcastle 5-1 at home and then Villa 4-0 away. Brighton, on the other hand, lost 2-0 at home to Villa, lost 2-1 away at Newcastle, lost 2-0 away at Liverpool, lost 2-0 at home to Spurs, drew 0-0 at home to Norwich and beat Arsenal 2-1 away. So it's clear that Spurs are coming into this in fine form. Their attackers are in form. They've got over 10 goals anyway in the last 4 matches. They're flying up front and they're starting to keep clean sheets as well. They're starting to build momentum, Tottenham. And Conte as well is a cracking manager. And with the home crowd, the stadium they've got as well, I'm sure Spurs will finish in that top 4 places. And I'm going to go for a Brighton defeat in this one because I think Spurs will have too much quality up front with the likes of Kulusevski, Son, Kane, Mora, Bergwijn as well. Højbjerg in midfield, good defensive midfielder, gets stuck in. Romero in form at the back, Lloris in net as well. They're defensively sound, good going forward. Brighton, they are coming off a great win as well, but I don't see them getting anything from this game. I see Spurs having too much quality, and I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Tottenham Hotspur in this game. Okay, we'll go to one of our first 3 o'clock games, and it's at Old Trafford between Manchester United and Norwich City. We'll quickly look at the league table. United currently sit in 7th place, 51 points with 31 games played, and Norwich sit bottom of the table in 20th place on 21 points from 31 matches. Let's look over the last 6 games for each team. United drew 0-0 at home to Watford, lost 4-1 away at Man City, beat Tottenham Hotspur 3-2 at home, lost 1-0 away at home to Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, drew 1-1 at home to Leicester and lost 1-0 away at Everton. And Norwich, they lost 2-1 away in the FA Cup at Anfield. They lost 3-1 at home to Brentford. They then lost 3-1 at home to Chelsea. Then went to Ellen Road and lost 2-1. They then got a good deserved point away at Brighton. And then they beat a crucial home match against Burnley at the weekend. In my opinion, this is probably just a dead rubber for both teams. United have no chance of top 4 now. The best United can go for is 5th or 6th Europa League places, and I still don't think we'll get that. Norwich, on the other hand, glimmer of hope with that victory last weekend against Burnley. They keep themselves in touching distance of staying up. I don't think they will stay up. I think this defeat at Old Trafford will be too much for them, and I don't think they'll come back from it. I don't think they'll have enough games to come back. I'm just going to go straight into my prediction. I'm going to go 2-1 to Manchester United in this game. I see United scraping out the 3 points. I don't see the performance being good. I see Norwich being frustrating. I see Norwich scoring a goal. I think the quality of United against Norwich should come through and get the 3 points in this one. Okay, we'll go into our next 3 o'clock game then, which is Southampton versus Arsenal at the St Mary's at 3 o'clock. We'll quickly look where each team are sitting in the league table. Southampton are currently 14th place with 36 points with 31 matches played, and Arsenal are currently in 5th place, 51 points with 30 games played. And we'll quickly go over the last 6 fixtures, 6 results, on the other hand, for each team. Southampton lost 4-0 away at Villa on March the 5th. They then lost 2-1 at home to Newcastle. They then lost 2-1 at home to Watford. They then lost 4-1 at home to City in the FA Cup. They then got a well-earned, hard-grafted draw at Ellen Road, 1-1, and then they recently lost 6-0 at home to Chelsea. Whereas Arsenal will go through their results. They won 3-2 away at Watford on March the 6th. They then beat Leicester by 2-0 at home. They then went to Anfield and lost 2-0. No, they then played Liverpool at home and lost 2-0. They then went to Aston Villa and got a well-hearted, grafted 1-0 win from Villa Park. They then went to Selhurst Park and got battered 3-0 by Crystal Palace. And that last weekend they lost 2-1 at home to Brighton. So both teams are coming on the back of this with defeats. Southampton more so with a 6-0 hammering against Chelsea. Arsenal coming off back-to-back defeats against Palace and Brighton. I think the quality of Arsenal at the moment will get them through this game. We will just go back to the table quickly and look at Southampton. They sit 14th place. I think they need 4 more points to just secure that safety. I think they are safe anyway because they are 12 points clear of Burnley with 5 games left. So, yeah, I think Southampton are safe, but not mathematically just yet, but they are realistically safe. Arsenal are fighting for the top 4. Arsenal really need to get a win in this one. They do still have a game in hand on Spurs, but Spurs have the points on the board. So I'm going to go in this game with a 2-1 win for the Arsenal. 2-1 win for the Arsenal at St Mary's. I don't like Arsenal. I don't want Arsenal to win games, but you've got to be realistic and say where they are. They're better than United. And I think Arsenal will win this 2-1 and still make that top 4 race interesting with 5 matches to go. So that's my result for this game, 2-1 Arsenal. Okay, we'll go into the last 3 o'clock game then. On Saturday, we've got Watford versus Brentford. 2 teams at the bottom of the table. We'll quickly look at the table. Watford are currently sat in 19th place on 22 points with 31 matches played. And Brentford are now safe, pretty much like Southampton. Probably need another point or 2 to be mathematically safe. They sit in 13th place on 36 points with 32 games played. Watford fighting for their life. I think if they lose this game, they will go down. They are 6 points adrift of safety of Everton. If they win this game, it'll give them that glimmer of hope of maybe staying up. But if they lose it, it'll be really damaging, and that will then mathematically make Brentford safe. We'll quickly look at the last 6 fixtures for each of the teams. Watford drew 0-0 away at Old Trafford on February the 26th. They then had a home game against Arsenal, which they lost 3-2. They then travelled to Molineux and got battered by Wolves 4-0. They then played Southampton at St Mary's, where they won 2-1. They then went to Anfield and lost 2-0. And they've recently just come off a home defeat against Leeds. Whereas Brentford, on the other hand, they lost 2-0 at home to Newcastle on February the 26th. They then beat Norwich 3-1 away from home on March the 5th. They then beat Burnley at home the following week, back-to-back wins for Watford, 2-0, and then they travelled to Leicester and lost 2-1. They then beat Chelsea. Brentford. They then beat Chelsea 4-1 away from home, and then beat West Ham 2-0 at home. So Brentford realistically, are in good form. They've won 4 of the last 6 matches. Only defeats to Leicester and Newcastle in that time. They've battered Chelsea. They've battered West Ham, 2 teams up at the top end of the table. And a big factor to that is Christian Eriksen in midfield for them. What a signing. What a piece of little business for them. Yes, what a story with Eriksen, but it shows his quality. The quality player like that down at the bottom of the table can make a heck of a lot of difference. And well done to Brentford, in my opinion, for staying up. For defying all the odds. For defying all the odds of staying up. Well done to Brentford. And I am going to go with a 2-1 win to Brentford in this one, because I think the quality of Eriksen, Tony, Mbeumo, Jan Helt as well in midfield that comes forward and scores, Canos, will just be a little bit too much for Watford. And I think this will be the game where Watford pretty much are relegated. So we'll see what happens, but it's a big game for Watford. But if Brentford win, credit to them, and they probably deserve it. And it will secure their place in the Premier League for next season. So I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford. Okay, we'll go into our Sunday games then. And we've got the 2:15 p.m. kickoff live on Sky Sports between Newcastle United and Leicester City. We'll look at where each of them are in the table. We'll go with the home team first. They currently sit in 15th position on 34 points with 31 matches played. And Leicester sits in 9th place on 40 points with 29 games played. So we'll quickly look through the last 6 games for each team. Newcastle won 2-1 at home to Brighton on March the 5th. They then won 2-1 away at Southampton on March the 10th. They then travelled to Stamford Bridge and unluckily lost 1-0. They then lost 1-0 at Goodison Park. They then got battered 5-1 by Spurs away. And then they've recently come off a 1-0 home win thanks to a Chris Wood penalty against Wolves. Leicester, on the other hand, they lost 2-0 away at Arsenal. They then lost 2-1 away at Rennes in the Europa Conference League. They then won 2-1 at home against Brentford on March the 20th. They got then a 1-1 draw against Manchester United at Old Trafford. They then drew 0-0 at home to PSV in the first leg of the Europa Conference League quarter-finals. And then they recently just beat Crystal Palace 2-1 at home. So we'll quickly go back to the table then. Newcastle will probably need another win or 2 to properly secure their place in the league for next season. But as I said, they are 10 points clear with 5 matches to play. So 3 more points will secure their place in the Premier League for next season. And credit to Eddie Howe and the team. He's really turned them around since after Christmas. Yes, they brought in some players. Yes, they spent £90-odd million in January. But he's done the job that he was brought in for, to keep them in the Premier League. And they will be a force next season. Leicester, on the other hand, have got 3 games in hand on Wolves above them. They are 9 points behind them. So they can still, mathematically, could still get Europa Conference League place, unless they win the Europa Conference League themselves, which means they'll go into the Europa League. So Leicester still do have a bit to play for this season. They are still in the Europa Conference League, and they could still get the top 7 in the league itself. So, my prediction for this game, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw in this one. I don't think there'll be a winner. I think the St James's Park crowd will get behind Eddie Howe's team and make it difficult for Leicester as well. I think that's what will get Newcastle past this game and get them something out of it. Leicester have threats as well as in Harvey Barnes, Albrighton, Vardy, Daka, Iheanacho, Tielemans, Maddison. They've got an abundance of quality, Leicester, but I think they will have one eye on that PSV Eindhoven second leg in Holland next Thursday. This Thursday, while I'm filming this. Very important game. They may have already gone through or they may have already gone out, so they may go full strength or not, we don't know. But It's a very important game for both teams. Newcastle need the win to secure their place in the Premier League for next season. And if Leicester still want to try and get top 7 in the league, they need to win this. But I am going to go with a 2-2 draw in this game. I don't see a winner. Okay, we'll go into another 2:15 game then. We've got West Ham versus Burnley. We'll quickly look at the team's positions in the league table. West Ham currently sit in 6th place on 51 points with 32 matches played. And then we have Burnley down in 18th place on 24 points with 30 matches played. We'll quickly go over the last 6 fixtures for each team then. West Ham beat Villa 2-1 at home on March the 13th. They then beat Sevilla 2-0 at home in the second leg of the Europa League on March the 17th. They then lost 3-1 away at Spurs on March 20th. They then beat Everton 2-1 at home. They then drew 1-1 at home to Lyon in the first leg of the Europa League quarter-final. And they recently just lost 2-0 away at Brentford. Burnley, however, they lost 2-0 at home to Leicester on March the 1st. They then lost 4-0 at home to Chelsea on March the 5th. They then lost 2-0 away at Brentford on March the 12th. They then had Manchester City at home, who they actually frustrated for a long period of that game. They lost 2-0 on March the 2nd. And then they've recently beaten Everton in a massive game at the bottom on April the 6th, but then they had a damaging defeat away at Norwich last weekend. So we'll quickly look at the table. West Ham will still have hopes of that top 4. They are 6 points off Spurs, but they have played a game extra, so it is looking unlikely. But they are very strong in the Europa League positions to get a top 6 place. United are behind them, but they could still get a 7th place as well, which would be a good season. But West Ham, they could win the Europa League yet and get into the Champions League that way, which would be an amazing season for them. Burnley, 18th place in the last relegation place. They are 4 points adrift of Everton. They've now played the same amount of games, but they have still got 2 games in hand on Leeds. But I think Burnley will go down this season. I just don't see them scoring enough goals, and they can't keep clean sheets either. So, in my opinion, I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for West Ham in this one. I see the quality of West Ham being too much. The home crowd as well for West Ham will have an impact on that game, and West Ham really need to win this game and bounce back after that disappointing defeat at Brentford. They really need to respond if they want to keep their top 4 hopes alive and strengthen their top 6 hopes as well. And hopefully they would have got through to the semi-finals of the Europa League before this, as I'm filming this video, because they play tomorrow night in the Europa League. So let's hope they get through. And that's my prediction for the West Ham Burnley game. 3-1 to West Ham. And that's it. That's the predictions for the Premier League. Not all the games are playing because there's obviously FA Cup fixtures, FA Cup semi-finals, which I will do in a separate video. But please let me know down below in the comments what your predictions are for this, or message me on any of my socials as well, which I'll leave down in the description below, just to get in contact with me about your predictions and how many points you got as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe and share the channel as well. And I'll see you next time.